Please.
Have a seat. Yeah. So Charlie, we have most people here. We're waiting for Flo. Dominic isn't there. So let's give us a few minutes. Just a few minutes, right? Charlie, we go in 2 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, please. It's okay, the last one. Fine. Fine. Let me extend greetings to the citizens and residents, and of course the many volunteers and benefactors who are here on island, providing much needed support and relief to us here. We want to express our gratitude to you, and to say to you that we really truly appreciate your under friendship and your assistance to our citizens. I also want to recognize the representatives of the various utility companies. We have so far Domlec, Duwasco, we have Digicel, and we have in Digicel, in addition to the local manager, we have the chairman of Digicel here, and I will invite him at some point to say a few words. We have representatives of the petroleum companies, because I know that's a concern of the public, the availability and the supply of petroleum products. So we have Petrocaribe here and Rubis thus far, and we expect hopefully West Indies oil at some point. Another major concern of the public is insurance, and because many of us who have our properties insured are not sufficiently knowledgeable, or we do not pay attention to the fine print of our insurance policies. And I'm bringing somebody who hopefully will speak to how do we go about triggering the process of making a claim on the insurance company with regards to our properties, because many people are waiting for the insurance companies to come, when really, my understanding, from the experts, we are the ones who should be asking the insurance companies to come visit us. So we have Mr. Curtis Town, insurance expert here, who will speak to this for us. So today we'll be focusing on utility and telecommunication services, the situation with refined petroleum products, diesel and gasoline, and also insurance claims, the process to follow. Let's just say to the citizens, we are continuing to press on under these very difficult and trying circumstances. I continue to call on us to be patient and understanding. No one part of the country can help each other because we're all in the same situation. The entire country has been affected, as we all know by now. We are improving on the delivery of supplies. You know, we have over 50 tons of food supplies coming into the country between today and tomorrow. So we will have lots of food to deliver to every single household and every single individual in Dominica in a transparent and equitable manner. We are improving with the delivery of bottled water, in particular drinking water, and we're also working on the setting up of some tanks in some communities and having the water purified so it becomes potable water. We are receiving additional support from various friendly governments and institutions who are here, who are helping. We've made tremendous strides with the health services. The French have been particularly helpful. The French have had since Wednesday morning, Tuesday morning they came in first, and from Wednesday morning a number of health experts at the hospital. We have brought the hospital back on its feet, covered the roofs, put in some medical equipment. As a matter of fact, we airlifted some patients to Martinique at midnight last night. Patients had to be evacuated. One gentleman who needed to be transfused no later than midday today, and we were able to get him out at midnight. There's one baby who was born prematurely, and that baby was also airlifted to Martinique and receiving medical care. So we're making progress. We can treat with a number of issues at the hospital now. With electricity, hopefully by today, we can certainly improve on the services. The French have brought in some medical equipment. We are able to dialyze patients. We're utilizing solar-powered dialysis machines, and we should set up the theater today. It's been set up, but with electricity coming, there will not be the tripping of the equipment because the equipment which we have gotten are very sensitive, and therefore we need a consistent supply of a particular voltage of electricity. And once that is addressed, then we're able to operate. We have a surgery expert from the French government on island who's been helping with putting the hospital back into shape. So for the last several days, we made a tremendous progress in improving the services. We have many doctors from many countries there, even from as far as the Palestinian Authority. They have 8 doctors who will be authorized to provide medical services this morning. So they will be sent to the hospital and to other health centers across the country to assist. The clearing of the roads is continuing. We should by the end of the day create access to more communities. We have done a dramatic job. We have a team of several dozens of people coming from Guadeloupe, company from Guadeloupe coming in to descend on the city. So I have asked that they focus exclusively on the city, clean every street for me, every drain, every gutter, and then we can move to another part of the country to clean up. We have procured, and they should be placed on a boat tomorrow, in excess of 1 kilometer of Bailey bridges. The number of roadways have been washed away. We have the experts, some of them are already on island. So we're hoping that we can start installing a number of the Bailey bridges as early as next week to create continuous access to the parts of the country that have been affected. So we have the list of all the places which require Bailey bridges. The Ministry of Public Works, through the Chief Technical Officer, has advised me that we need about 1 kilometer. I have asked, we have procured more than 1 kilometer in the case that any place would have been left out. So we're making some progress, and as the hours and the days go by, we will continue to make progress and so forth. And more public servants are coming to work because everybody has been shell-shocked. Everybody's home has been impacted. People are still emotionally distraught, and one has to appreciate the impact of this hurricane on everybody's psyche, everybody's mental state. And these are the same people who have to provide the services. These are the same people who have to bring the aid and supplies to all of us across the country. I have had police officers who have not had 1 hour off from 5 a.m. on Sunday before the hurricane. They have not been home for any extended period of time. So, and we have nurses who have been at the hospital from Saturday before the hurricane and Sunday after the hurricane. Luckily, they have gotten a few hours of rest and go home and check their families and back full time at the hospital. So no essential services of the state we're resting our laurels. We work 24 hours even during the curfew, while many of us may be having something to eat or talking and joking. The essential services are out working and ensuring that when you wake up in the morning, life can be a little bit better for all of us and so on. So we're making tremendous progress. So I will invite Mr. Denis of Digicel, the chairman of Digicel, to speak to Digicel's presence in Dominica. Digicel is not only looking after its investments in Dominica. Digicel has been an extraordinary philanthropic entity, and the leadership of Digicel, he's here physically in Dominica, tells you of the tremendous commitment which Digicel has to Dominica, and they will be assisting us beyond just improving on the telecommunication services and restoration of the telecommunication services. And so I keep calling him Sir Denis, but but I invite my friend of Digicel to speak to some of the issues. Please.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. May I first of all offer you my condolences on the huge number of people who have died, but also the people who are missing in Dominica since the hurricane struck. I was in Haiti when the earthquake struck there, and it reminded me this morning coming in here just the sheer devastation. And when I look at what is in front of you and your colleagues and everybody in political life here, it's tens, 20,000s of small things that are going to rebuild this country. And I can imagine the burden that must be on your shoulders, Prime Minister, but I have to say the leadership that you've shown has been immense, and I just want to compliment you on that, and the way that you're communicating with people, all the different progress that the country is making on a daily basis. Our Chief Executive, Nikima, has briefed me, and apart from getting our network up and running, and we have about 5 sites at the moment, but we're adding more and more sites every day as we replace the network. But I wanted to just outline to you, Prime Minister, after consulting with your government and also Nikima and my colleagues, we have decided to focus our relief efforts on the Kalinga territory under Minister Darrow, and also La Plan under Minister Johnson Dringo, and also Peter St. John under the Minister Bruce. So what we're going to do there is very quickly, starting today, is do an assessment how we can help people rebuild homes, how we can get materials brought into the country, and how we can rebuild the schools in that particular area. I think it's better that we focus, and this is in consultation with the government, we focus our efforts on one particular area rather than just going on a scattergun approach. So Digicel is going to take on the southeast part of the country and help in the rebuilding efforts. And that will, start immediately today. Our team are going to go down there and meet your colleagues, but also speak to the people, the community leaders in the churches as well, to see how we can immediately make an impact. So, the other thing obviously is that if we can help in any way with the Caribbean community and encouraging them to support you, because obviously your government is going to need funding for its rebuilding efforts. And I would hope that the United States also comes on board, Prime Minister, to support you. And I'd like to compliment the French government and also the British government on what they've done so far. So maybe there's a greater effort within the European Union, because we're from Ireland, we can help with. So we'll start on that today. So can I just say, I wish you well. It's not a very happy time for you, Prime Minister, but I think the way you're leading the country has been immense in the last week. And I'd also like to compliment all your civil servants, the way they have stuck to their task, because it must be a very challenging time for them as well in all the government departments, where everybody is besieging them looking for help. So thank you very much for taking the time to meet me, and thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.
Well, on a lighter note, the chairman of Digicel is part of a very small club, global club. Of billionaires. He's also well respected globally, and he has offered his advocacy for Dominica in speaking to certain governments and in speaking to certain individuals to partner with Digicel to assist. And in discussion with Mr. Dennis this morning, we've agreed to focus on the southeast. Southeast being one of the most vulnerable parts, the Canalago territory, Grand Fond, Riviere Civic, all the way to Dalis. As you know, these places were impacted by Erica in a dramatic way, and of course Maria also. And he'll be looking at schools in the communities there, housing and other areas of support. So we really want to say thanks to Dennis for his always genuine and committed support. We'll invite Nikki to speak to some of the technical issues Digicel is engaging in terms of restoration of these services.
Can I be excused? I'm going to go meet my staff. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning. Ahead of the passing of Hurricane Irma, Digicel undertook all possible precautions and preparations. However, similarly to all Dominicans, there was no way to fully prepare for the ferociousness of this Category 5 beast, which tore through our nation. That said, we echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister. Dominica is on its knees. However, we, Digicel, understand our role, we appreciate our responsibility, and we have stepped up to restore not only connectivity to facilitate communication, we have stepped up and pledged our unwavering support to the government of Dominica, Dominicans, and Dominica to rebuild better, stronger, ensuring we are future-proofing telecommunications and the information technologies of Dominica. Within hours of the All Clear, our first team was on the ground, and since then, we have deployed a fleet of resources from throughout our region to support not only our recovery efforts, but that of the nation. In addition to technical teams, we have brought in doctors, psychologists, plumbers, electricians, builders, masons, tradesmen to assist in the effort. We have partnered with Tomlec to provide assistance, all assistance available to restore power, including the use of our helicopter to conduct an aerial assessment. And Ms. McKenzie, we continue to pledge to be with you throughout. We have utilized our resources to evacuate upwards of 30 persons from Dominica, as well as within Dominica, requiring medical interventions. We will be providing the government of Dominica with high-powered chainsaws to assist with the clearing of the roads, in addition to our teams currently out doing just that, as well as many other initiatives being currently undertaken, including that which the Prime Minister and our Chairman spoke of. As of Monday, September 25th, we have 4 sites operational: Great George Street, Glasgow, National Stadium, and Layu, providing connectivity of talk, text, and limited data coverage to the area of Point Michel to St. Joseph. By the end of the business day today, we expect to connect 2 additional sites, Castle Comfort, which will deepen our coverage, and Grand Savan, which will further extend our coverage. We expect to have 17 mobile cell sites on island in the coming days to deploy into strategic points in tandem with the restoration efforts currently ongoing on the ground on our towers and our sites. As the Chief Executive Officer of Digicel, but more importantly, as a Dominican, I stand with you today to grieve the loss of lives sustained, the damage to property, and the unending heartbreak for our trauma sustained. In doing so, I pledge the complete support of Digicel to stand with you as we rebuild. Our teams are working 24/7 to restore connectivity and assist in all manners humanly possible to stand up from our knees to show that Dominica, tall as her body, shall rise taller than before. We will continue to provide daily updates, and unfortunately I can't stay to take questions right now. However, I live at my office now along with some of my staff. I'm there all day. You can reach me there to ask any questions. And Dowasco, we'll talk today when you can meet me. We will sort out the issues we spoke of today. Yes? Thank you so very much for the time.
Thank you to Digicel. We have with us Floyd. We are. Okay, so we'll go to Domlek. Domlek, you'll brief us, and then Dowasco, and then we'll move to Rubis, and then Weok, and then Petrocaribe. So I don't have to come back and to call you, okay? Okay.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Domlek wants to place on record its gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister for yesterday making these facilities available to us, whereby we could address the nation. So, subsequent to what I said yesterday, I'm just going to give us a brief update. I am pleased to report that 3.3 megawatts of generation is available. As we speak, the units are up and running and ready to go once the load is available. And so, PMH will be energized today. Crews are working on the Federation Drive, Solomon Lane area to power up the stadium and the financial center and surroundings going up to the police headquarters by Sunday, which will include Digicel and the Roosevelt Center. Subsequent to that, what we're going to do is to try to deal with the HV and lower voltage lines for Roseau so that the commercial sector can be powered up after Sunday. In terms of the timing, that's not sure of yet. So this is a very brief update, and I will stay just in case the press has questions for me.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Skerrit, the press, fellow utility managers, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning all, good morning to all Dominicans. We at Dowasco do empathize with everyone who suffered loss, and in fact all of Dominica suffered loss. We are indeed grateful for the efforts of the government of Dominica, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Minister Blanchard, or Honorable Minister Barron for the support that have been provided thus far, the various PSs and the FS. I'm pleased to report that there are a number of communities in Dominica to date with water. Among those are Cottage, Cochrane, which was restored with the help of the villagers, Portsmouth, La Plaine. We were able to provide water by 2 storage tanks by the use of standpipes so that the community people can access some water from those areas. Vailcas and Penville, which were restored by the heroic efforts of persons from within the community. And Campbell, restored in part yesterday with the assistance of a couple police officers, Dowasco staff and villagers. I'm very pleased to report that our main water system, Water Area 1, that is served by the Springfield intake, our men were able to work throughout the night last night and put water through that system. Unfortunately, in the area where the pipes break at Antrim, we had a major breakage there, And the men, as we speak, they have not gone home yet from yesterday, but they are there trying to repair that so that we could get water to the Princess Margaret Hospital and that section of Goodwill by this evening. We unfortunately, the greater part of Roseau will not be restored today. There's a major broken pipe on the Roseau Bridge, the Low Black Bridge entering Roseau, and that has to be restored before this section of Roseau can receive water. But that we can assure you will be done before the end of this week. So the greater Roseau area will have water before the end of this week. And once Water Area 1 system is up and running, that serves the entire area from Miru all the way to Castle Comfort, and as we repair the breakages on that section, all of that greater area will receive water. Sylvania, Corona, Despo area will also receive water by tomorrow morning for the latest. We are working on that area as well. And the Castle Bruce area, we've sent all the pipes and the men to restore water in Castle Bruce area. Our Snug Corner intake has been damaged significantly and several lengths of pipes lost in that area. So we are working to restore that with the assistance of a private contractor, and we are also hoping to, by this weekend, by Sunday for the latest, that the area of Point Michel, Lube and all these areas will also have water. The Woodford Hill, Wesley, Margot area, all the pipes that were restored following Tropical Storm America have again been lost, and so it's a tremendous challenge in that area. Nonetheless, we have already begun mobilizing to see how quickly we can restore water, and we are hoping by mid-October we would see some restoration of pipe-borne water within that community as well. Nonetheless, the North End system that serves, the Crapwall system that serves part of Marigot and North End and part of the Calnago territory and Atkinson, we are hoping to, well, we have started work and hoping that that system will be restored within the next couple of days. And so that all of Atkinson, part of the Calnago territory, parts of Marigot and North End will have water, let us say by Friday of this week. That's the target we have here. In Benz, we are happy to report that some people in Benz are receiving water, and we will be working on the system to ensure that everybody in Benz receive water. So we at the WASCO, we are working tirelessly to ensure that all of Dominica receive water. Our challenge is going to be certainly water treatment. Our lab is working to ensure that the water that we deliver to people will be potable, drinkable. Nonetheless, we'll advise along with the Environmental Health Department how to deal with the water that will be provided over the next few days. We could have been a lot further. Unfortunately, lots of our tools and equipment were vandalized. Our generators stolen, compressors stolen, water pumps stolen. The police has assisted in recovering some of those, and we have been promised from the Barbados end that we should receive some by tomorrow. So hopefully that will give us the boost that we need also to get some water flowing. We are very grateful that the Dutch Army vessel was able to provide some water that we will truck to the hospital. We trucked 4 loads day before yesterday, 1 yesterday, and the truck is, as I speak now, is on the port loading again to take to the hospital and a couple other very essential points throughout Dominica. So again, we want to thank you for your patience, thank the government and the Prime Minister for the assistance that we have received, to thank our staff for the valiant effort that they are providing to ensure that water is restored. And we'll continue to work to ensure that that happens in quick time. Thank you.
Good morning, fellow Dominicans. I'm Nicholson Dodds, the country representative for Rubis Dominica. Like my colleague who went before me, Mr. Ettinoffe, I too, on behalf of Rubis, want to empathize with all fellow Dominicans who suffered in one way or another, and sympathize with those who suffered loss of loved ones. My colleagues from overseas have been asking me, tell me about the storm. And I just said to them, everyone has a story. And I know that is true for every one of us sitting here. To speak more specifically to our petroleum situation, you may have noticed that at the pumps, there seems to be what I consider a stampede, where people are coming for product, and many seem to believe that there is a shortage of petroleum product on island. I'm here today to reassure the Dominican public that there is no shortage of petroleum product. I want to repeat myself on that. There is no shortage of petroleum products in Dominica. And a manifestation of that, those of you who have purchased yesterday and a few days, we were able to open with the support of the police. And lest I forget, I want to say a special thank you to the police who came to really assist us in controlling the crowds out there. But you may have noticed that we were not rationing fuel. If there was a shortage of fuel, we'd have been selling like $20 to the average person. People came with 3 and 4 containers and we sold them whatever they wanted. That is a clear indication that there is no shortage of fuel. To put it in layman terms, I'm going to give you some numbers. Currently, at Fort Rubis, we have 3,500 barrels of gasoline. You may want that in gallons. Simple calculation, multiply that by 35, you're going to get in excess of 122,000 gallons of gasoline. That's 122,000 gallons of gasoline in storage. For diesel, we have over 8,000 barrels of diesel. In gallons, imperial gallons, that's over 280,000 gallons of diesel. And that's for Rubis only. Not only that, we also have another vessel which is arriving somewhere over the weekend. And we don't even have sufficient space to store the product that that vessel is bringing. So I just want to repeat for the 3rd time and to assure the general public that there is no shortage of petroleum product on island. So having said so, my desire, I really like the public to cooperate with us that we can sell product to people, because there are some essential vehicles and essential personnel who need to move around to provide quality service to various communities that are affected. And the fact that the crowds are there, they cannot access the service station. Now bear in mind also, at those service stations we are not selling water. We are selling highly flammable and volatile petroleum products. And if something could go wrong there, a lot of people can be hurt. And hence the reason why when the people come to the station and they start behaving unruly and rushing and having the stampede that I spoke about earlier, we have no choice but to shut it down. So you can help us to help you. If you don't need gasoline, do not come to the stations. There is no shortage of gasoline. Please allow us to open the various stations that we can actually have vehicles come through. I understand that people are going to need product in containers, and I'm going to address that in a while. People are going to need product in containers, and as such we have to sell in containers because people have some portable generators that they have to run for their home. We are cognizant of that, and we are willing to support it. In terms of stations, Canefield Station is open. AC Shillingford is open. Castle Comfort suffered some, and I'm speaking of Rubis stations, Castle Comfort suffered some damage, and it can be restored in a very short time. As we all know, we had a challenge in terms of access to Castle Comfort. Jimmits is operational, but may open shortly. So those are just some of the stations that are coming online. Soon as we have access to the outer district, like Portsmouth, Marigot, Kalibishi, the trucks will be delivering there. I visited those myself. I haven't been to Portsmouth, but I have a colleague who lives in Portsmouth. We got report on those stations, and the damages in those stations, I assure you, can be restored in a very short time. So please, I appeal to the public again. Please work with us, help us, that we can help you. Let me speak on some safety tips, because it would be remiss of me if I should stand here and don't speak about it. I've noticed at the service stations where we are trying to help the public that quite a few people are showing up with some containers which are not approved for petroleum products. Some of them are bleach bottles, what we commonly known as Clorox bottles, water bottles. If you put gasoline in those, you're going to have a chemical reaction, and you may start a chemical fire. The gasoline, the bottle was not designed to store that type of product. And if you do that, you could end up with a fire. So At all service stations, we will not be selling product in any unapproved containers. And I'm warning the public also, please, when you get to your homes, do not put product in those unapproved containers. It is unsafe and can start a fire at your home. And this is not a candle fire we're speaking about. We're speaking about a petroleum fire, which is not easy to put out. Secondly, do not store fuel in close to open flames, for example. You may have a fire out there, close to your stove. Do not store petroleum products close to those, or any other source of heat, or any other ignition source. Because if it's vaporized, it's very hot nowadays. If you have gasoline stored in a container, it's going to vaporize. And that vapor is going to go somewhere. The vapor is the dangerous part of it. It can ignite. Be very careful. Do not store gasoline in closed area or close to open flames or any such place. Ensure also that the containers that you're using for those gasoline, ensure that they are clean containers. For two reasons. One, if you come with a dirty container, you may tend to believe that we sold you dirty product, whereas in your container. That's generally we don't sell in containers. It's not our policy, we don't. But considering the circumstances, we are making the exception. And that's why I'm asking people to be very cautious. Do not store fuel in those containers. Ensure that those containers are clean, and because they may have some other chemical in there prior that could cause a chemical reaction, and you could start a fire. And also, generators. For those who are running generators, do not run those generators in a closed environment, like indoors. The generator is going to give off carbon monoxide once it consumes the fuel, and that is highly toxic. So do not run your generators indoor. And I want to say a special thank you to my staff. I've never seen some more committed people than the Ruby staff. The day after the storm, literally, we had employees like everyone else who lost their homes completely, lost their roofs. And I'm saying that and it's really touching me. And those guys were out there asking, how can we help? It's really touching. So I'm just want to say a special thank you to everyone. It's difficult for everyone psychologically, and I'm really asking for the cooperation of everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Martin, representing West Indies Oil, the terminal manager. And I really want to sympathize with all Dominicans here. I'm happy to see us here in good health and to a certain extent good spirits. From a West Indies Oil standpoint, our infrastructure is pretty much intact. We suffered minor damage to our gantry. This is the area that we really do our loading of our trucks, but we have worked around that. Our greatest challenge is our distribution. For now, that the majority of our distributions is pretty much intact. We are able to serve the Northeast, which is Wesley, Portsmouth, which is Wade Service Station. In roads and environments, we are also good. Kenfield Service Station is operational. Macmillan Service Station, also in Castle Street, is operational. Also, Suki's Island Petroleum in Newtown is also operational. And I want to, at this point, alert the fear that which my colleague, Mr. Dodds, spoke about. There is absolutely no fear that there's going to be any shortage of petroleum products on island. As we speak, we have storage, we have inventory for 2 weeks, and as of tomorrow, our tanker will be here, which will be giving us further storage for another month. So we're expecting the tanker to be docking Wednesday tomorrow. So there's absolutely no need to panic. We have a lot of volume in stock. And if you combine West Indies Oil's Rubis, Petro, and the others. There's absolutely no need. So I really want to impress on the public to allow the utility companies, the emergency personnel who really need access to the service station, allow them to get that. Because when we crowd the service station with the beetles and the long lines, the emergency vehicles and operators cannot access the service station. And that is a great challenge. Additionally, for those who are taking fuel in containers, safety tips. Please, please do not carry them in your closed cars. That's a hazard. Please do not store them inside your homes. Remember, you do not have electricity. You're lighting candles, you're lighting lamps. You have flammable fluid with you. But remember, it is the vapor that ignites. Please remember that it is the vapor of the gasoline that ignites. So if you have vapor in your home, you crack a matches, you light a candle, you are asking for trouble. Please, please keep that in mind. As of now, we are able to get product to Portsmouth. It's a big challenge. As soon as the road is able to support the heavy trucks, that's the greatest challenge. We are doing it now in small containers to Portsmouth and to the Wesley area. But as soon as the roads can support the heavy trucks, we'll be able to make our normal deliveries to these areas. So we want to assure the people in the outside of Roosevelt that we will be able to soon be able to serve them. On that note, I really want to thank everyone for your support. To my staff, 50% of them have lost their roles, but they're working diligently, continuing to ensure that we continue to serve the public. So my heart goes out to them. Thank you.
Good morning to the Dominican public, especially the constituents from Soufriere, who have been very patient and cooperative, considering that all our villages have been cut off from one another, and so the only access is by helicopter or boat. I would like to report on behalf of Petrocarib. Petrocarib normally stores 2 petroleum products, and we distribute about 3. Our plant was severely flooded by Hurricane Maria, and our cleanup campaign has begun. But our tanks and our trucks are intact, so our major equipment have not been damaged by the storm. We have the Venezuelan team who is here on island to help us, a team of Venezuelan engineers to help us in the restoration and repair process. And I want to say thank you to the Venezuelan government, who are shareholders of Petrocarib, who responded immediately in terms of bringing food supplies, providing search and rescue teams and helicopter service so we can access different villages around the island. On diesel, we have 11,000 barrels of diesel, which is equivalent to around 385,000 gallons. So as the manager of Ruby said, and we have no shortage of fuel on the island. Most of the heavy equipment operators depend on diesel to operate, and so we have sufficient to supply them. And in terms of Petrocarib, we are restoring our lines now, so we'll be able to receive fuel. So there is no shortage of fuel again. Since I'm here, I'm going to report on LPG. I must also say before that we have started to deliver to some of our customers in Roseau diesel, so they can call 275-5783 if they need fuel, because Petrocarib mostly focuses on wholesale delivery of diesel. 275-5783. That's the number to call for if you need any diesel to our customers. We have approximately 700 barrels of LPG on island. Our automatic filling plant was damaged by the storm. However, we have putting together a manual process to start to be able to fill bottles, 20-pound bottles of LPG. The only challenge we have now is that we have no bottles. Most of our bottles were either washed away, the majority was stolen. So we are asking people, if you have empty cylinder bottles, to return them to our agents or return them to the plants so we can fill them, because we do not have a shortage of LPG and we don't want to create a shortage of LPG. All we need is the bottles to fill. Some people stole empty cylinders. They are of no use to you, so return them to the plant or to any nearby agent and we'll collect them. We also ask for the cooperation of the public, especially the residents of Jimit and Maho. I know that Petro-Carib now, we have 2 rivers. We have one on our left and one on our right. So people are using the rivers to bathe and wash their clothes, which is understandable. But please note that we also too have to clean up the plant and prepare to do major deliveries. So especially during the hours of 9 to 3 p.m., 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., if you could minimize the traffic on the left-hand side, which is the Chavez-Jimit Road, we would really appreciate that cooperation. I want to sympathize with all all Dominicans who lost their families or buildings during Hurricane Maria, and our clients, all corporations who suffered loss during the passing of Hurricane Maria. But as we overcame Tropical Storm Erica, we shall rise again. So continue to keep faith and have hope and do not panic. We will get services running as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
Good morning, all. Let me say a special good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister. Let me extend pleasant good morning to all the citizens of our beautiful country, Dominica. Those of you here, and certainly the millions of people who are viewing this broadcast on the World Wide Web. Let me specifically extend on behalf of my company sympathies to all of the Dominicans among us who would have suffered personal loss to family and obviously to property, but more broadly to all of Dominica who would have in a very significant way be impacted by the ravages of Hurricane Maria. Our telecommunications company, as you would know, we certainly would have been confronted by similar challenges in the past. Our company, Kingdom Wireless Dominica, we've been operating in this part of the world for over 100 years. And certainly, I think, while Maria arguably may well be the most significant natural disaster that would have confronted us, but I think we would have had multiple disasters and challenges along our very extensive history of being in the region. Let me start by speaking firstly about our people. Like all of you in this room, I'm sure almost 100% of our people at Kingdom Wireless would have been impacted in some way by Hurricane Maria. Some more severely than others, but every single person would have had some sort of impact, including myself. In fact, there's a going joke in Dominica now where people are saying you're not in style if you have your roof. Right? So all of us would have been impacted in some way. But the passion and the resilience of our people and the commitment to serving our people and our country, when I say people, I mean our staff at Kingdom Wireless Dominica, certainly came to the surface again as we had to confront with the recovery effort of bringing some sort of telecommunication services back to our people. We have always said that we have invested significantly in trying to build a significant amount of robustness and resilience into our telecommunications network. And we do it not necessarily because we think it's the nice thing to do, but we do it because we understand that in period of crisis, telecommunication is what people will actually lean on to for some level of comfort, at least in the first instance. And the experiences of Hurricane Maria certainly told us that we were making the right decision. We were able to maintain communication for a very extensive period throughout the hurricane, and we were able to keep a number of our people in touch with their families across the world, at least to bring some level of comfort. I had it myself. I had persons all over the world who, while I was running from one end of the house to the next, trying to stay safe, I had my phone in my hands and people were actually sending text messages and sending prayers and pretty much committing support immediately after the calm. So we know that we are doing service to our people. From just in terms of accountability for our employees, I can say that I've accounted for 100% of our colleague population. Again, it was a bit challenging in the first instance because a number of them would have been locked in the various communities as a result of the blockages of the road network. But yesterday I had the privilege of having a face-to-face meeting with about 80% of the staff population at Cable & Wireless Dominica. So I know directly that everyone is okay, they're all safe, and like everyone else across the country, they have suffered some level of loss. Our first response was to ensuring that our people were safe and they had the support that they needed, because if we don't take care of our people, it makes it more difficult for them to take care of the rest of us. So immediately we've had 3 boats that actually docked. I received, on behalf of our people and our company, 3 boats with humanitarian support from our sister BUs, most of St. Lucia. We had the first one coming in on Wednesday, the second one on Saturday, and I'm actually receiving one at 12 o'clock today. That will bring the water, the dry goods, and all the essential things that our people need now to give them some level of comfort. And so we do that. 50%, just about 50% of both mapping and Cable & Wireless employees have reported to work. And they have all showed up. They've walked through the rubble, and they're here serving our customers. If you walk across our building now, you'll see a number of them bearing the heat of the generator at the building, pretty much trying to assist customers with top up and charging of the phone. So people are at work, even amidst all the rubble. We have also received on island, and I'm saying that just to give the population some level of comfort, that we will bring to bear on this recovery effort in Dominica resources from across our networks. So far we have 6 additional specialized resources we have received in Dominica now, who are assisting us in the recovery effort. And as we progress, we expect to have another 17 specialized resources we'll bring into the country to assist us in the recovery effort. So we are sparing no effort in ensuring that we have the required support to bring our population back to some level of connectivity in the quickest possible time. In terms of damage assessment, again, we are hindered by the lack of free access to a number of areas in the country, but so far we have covered about 50%, so we have assessed about 50% of our plant across the country. And certainly today we will focus on the West Coast. We want to get connectivity to Portsmouth. We are focused on Ross University. We want to bring some connectivity to the Ross University and the Picard area. And hopefully our expectation is by Friday we should be in a position to do just that. 10% from our initial assessment, as I said, we haven't completed the assessment 100%, but from the preliminary assessment we have done so far, about 10% of our mobile network infrastructure has been completely damaged. And I'm referring specifically to cell sites that have been cut off and broken, and other infrastructure that is completely lost, that will require some level of building from ground up. We have restored, which is part of the good news, we have restored mobile service in Roseau, and that is about 80% restored. So about 80% of all the sites we have serving the Roseau community has been restored, and so that is good. We expect to have 100% restoration of all services around Roseau. And when I say services, the mobile sites serving the entire Roseau and environs to be completed by Friday the 29th. Service restoration in Kinfield is 50% completed, and we expect as we progress over the next 2 days or so, at least certainly before the end of this week, we should get to about 100%. Service is expected to be restored by Friday to the areas of Portsmouth. As I said, Picard, at least 50% of Picard will be recovered by Friday, and Massac as well, we will certainly have going by Friday of this week. In terms of our core fiber infrastructure, and we've always said that at least 80% of our fiber infrastructure is covered underground in secure docks. And so we are seeking to kind of recover and to mend these areas where we have breaks. The west coast towards the north is about 70% restored. I know we are up to about St. Joseph. Our fiber connectivity is currently reaching St. Joseph. And over the next couple of days, we expect to pass that area. And when I speak to fiber connectivity, what it will facilitate is the restoration of fixed line services and some broadband services, again, pending the restoration of commercial power in those areas. So while the core will be alive and have the ability to serve, in terms of the final leg and how it connects to the private homes will be dependent on the public grid and maybe other impediments that may well be at the various homes. But once all of that is in place, at least our services will be ready to be delivered to customers in those areas. The west coast towards the south, assessment is slowed because, again, of the lack of access, but I know the government is working very aggressively in clearing all the roads, and again, we will be side by side. Once the roads are cleared, our men will be there and ready to go in to restore services, at least to do the initial assessment and then get the wheels turning to do assessments. The northeast assessment is in progress as we speak. The Southeast Coast assessment has not yet started, again because of the lack of access, but again we are very optimistic based on the pace we see the government moving, PM, that we will get to that in the quickest possible time. And the East Coast assessment is already in progress. With respect to mapping television, the core infrastructure has suffered about 90% damage, and we are still not yet fully complete with respect to our total assessment, but we know for a fact, based on what we have done so far, that the core infrastructure of mapping 2K4 would have suffered significant damage. Yeah? But as they say, in every seed of disadvantage, there's a seed of equivalent advantage. We had in motion a very expansive and very detailed redevelopment plan for the mapping network anyway. And so while we were going to phase it, I think we have a perfect opportunity now to advance it in a more robust and expansive manner. And based on the conversations I've had so far, it was senior people across the company who are pledging significant support. I think at this point, anything that I ask for to assist the people of Dominica PM, I think we'll get it. And so in terms of moving the total remediation of the mapping network, I think we're at that place now where we're going to advance it as part of the rebuilding process. So my point here is we will have better television services than where we started before Hurricane Maria, and we expect that to be moving very quickly right ahead. In terms of business customers, we're moving to restore services. In fact, we have started, and there is some level of connectivity within the financial center now. And government's voice services and the restoration has started, and we expect to have some level of functionality around government in terms of telephone connectivity to central government and the police headquarters by Friday. And that's one of our key objectives. We're working towards ensuring by Friday of this week we should be able to have calls going in and going out of the government headquarters and the police headquarters. Emphasis is also being placed on service restoration to the hospital, but there is significant damage which will cause some delays, but we're focused on it, and unfortunately for us, we had a generator at our MSAN at Goodwill that we would have used to actually power up service that was stolen. But again, as I say, we're not going to dwell too much on that. We will get a new one in, and we will put it in, and we'll get the services restored at the hospital in the quickest possible time. We're also working to get services restored to Clare Harbour. The point is, I think we all have to pause and assess the damage around us, but I think the quicker we move towards rebuilding, I think it is better for all of us, psychologically, and just it will help the human spirit. So we want to get services restored to all our key business institutions as quickly as possible, and we need to, so let us get Rosa up again, let us get services. We expect there will be some level of disruption, but we want to get connectivity to our key customers, and so we're working on Clare Harbour. We are working on Fortune Hotel. We've been in constant conversation with the management of Fortune Hotel. We know that we need to, in fact, we have a number of people who want to come into Dominica now, but we're challenged in terms of suitable accommodation, and so we think it is in our best interest if we can get our hotel plant functioning in some way, and so we spare no effort to get some of these businesses up and going. Work has been commenced with hospitality and financial institution, as I said, to get them back up in some way. And so in terms of sales and commercial activity, we are trying our best. We want to get we are aware that persons want to top up their phones. There are persons who want to get a new phone. Some phones would have been flooded as a result of the flood waters, and we're trying our best to do that. Our building was flooded ourselves. Our main generator room was flooded out as a result of the flood waters from the Rosa River. But again, we're trying our best. We have a service entrance, and we're putting tables. We have people standing there, and we're selling as best as we can. So just to give the country, by and large, some level of comfort that we are at work, and I mean, it is not business as usual, and our people recognize that, so we're out early and we leave late. We are not about, so there are no normal routines, so to speak. We are doing all we can do to get our people back committed. What I can connect it, on behalf of my company, I stand very, 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 there's an unwavering commitment from me personally. And that commitment, I think, is trickling across our colleague population and our senior executives, that we will work hand in hand with the government of Dominica to get our country back up. We are not leaving. This is where we've been. We've been here from the 1930s. We own infrastructure here. We are part of this community, and I think we have an obligation to help in the rebuilding process. And so, PM, you have my unwavering commitment where that is concerned, and that of my company. Thank you very much.
A very good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm very pleased that you have given me the opportunity to come and speak at this forum. My invitation is really to say to the public and their policyholders what needs to be done to get their claims together. But as I listen here, I am again reminded of the very important function that the insurance industry plays in the building of our economy and the rebuilding of our economy. All the repairs that are being done and will have to be done are generally insured. So all the power lines you see that have to be restored, the port, just about everything is insured. So at the end of the day, we get the rap. I was very pleased again to see what the insurance industry was meant to do. And from the color of my beard, I'm certain that you will know that I was here during Hurricane David. So this is nothing new, although it is far more catastrophic than David was. So I want to thank God for such a wonderful day that we have. I think we all should be very happy and saying thank you, Jesus, for sparing us. My sympathies go out to those persons who have lost loved ones, but it is great, and thank you, Jesus, for sparing us. I'm very pleased again to see the leadership that our Prime Minister has shown and exhibited, and have visited so many countries and spoken to so many nations on the need to give help to Dominica. To my policyholders and to policyholders in general, not only policyholders with First Domestic, but policyholders throughout the entire industry, this is how you do it. First, visit the insurance office and make a statement that you have had damages. You need to notify your insurance companies that you have had damages. And one would say, isn't that obvious? Just about every house lost their roof. But it is just one of the conditions that you need to come in and report a loss and give some simple description of your loss. Very simple. It's a very one-page form in most cases that you have to fill. After you have informed the insurance company that you suffered a loss and you have filled that form, the insurance company will now put together all that information, check their files, check all their policy files to match the notification with your records. Particularly in the case of vehicles, I know that we are more focused on houses quite naturally, but there are a number of vehicles that were totally destroyed. The insurance policy, or the motor insurance policy, covers generally collisions. You get into an accident with someone, someone gets in an accident with you, and basically that's what it covers. You need to have a separate cover to cover hurricane damages. I know after Storm Erika that a number of companies have made great effort to encourage people to add hurricane cover to their policies. And I believe that persons have taken that advice. However, one of the problems I know that will arise is the fact that because of a tight economy, everyone wants to get the lowest premium or to pay the least for their insurance policy, and what they need, what they want to cover is what is required by government, and that is third-party liability. That is, if you cause accident, injuries to a third party. And so most people would leave hurricane out because that is not required by the government. But I am sincerely hoping that from the experience of Erica, that a number of persons did in fact cover hurricane on their motor policy. To move on, as I said, the first step, come in and visit the insurance office, make a claim. And it's a simple thing, just to say that I suffered damages. My house is at 10 King George V Street, my name, and I suffered a loss of roof or whatever. That's all. Basically, that's all. The insurance company, second now, takes that information, checks their file to see if the coverage exists. The insurance company will need some time, probably about 3 weeks, to check that information and also to get valuations. What is the cost of the repairs or replacement in some cases? And so we employ valuators to do that. An architect, an engineer, certified builder to do that. And the process generally is that we will take the initiative to send those people to look at the loss. In a catastrophe such as this, we cannot do that. So what we have done is to have made an announcement on the air that we have given probably 10, 15 persons who are qualified and who are accepted to come and visit your home. So all you need to do, you just get one of those persons to come and visit your home. And they will bring the report into us, or you can bring the report into us. After we have that, the next step is for us to adjust the claim, talk to you, invite you in, so that we can negotiate and agree on a final figure. And as I said, it is not you have to wait for us to find somebody to do that. We have put on the air a number of names of persons that if you know them, just simply call them up. The telephone number will be there, and ask them to come and visit you. We will pay for all of that. The insurance company will pay for all of that. Now, a number of properties would have been mortgaged to banks, to credit unions, etc. And so there is an agreement between yourself, the lending institution, and the insurance company that in case of a loss, that the loss is payable to the bank or the credit union. So I'd just like to remind our policyholders and our friends that that is the case, that it is not going to be a situation where we hand you a check. That check must be made in the name of yourself and the bank or the institution, the lending institution, and that money goes to them. We will seek to have discussions with banks to remind them that basically that settlement is not just to pay the loan, but to get you back on your feet. Because I know a number of people are worried about that. Generally, that is not the behavior of the bank, but we as insurers must also play our part in engaging discussions with the bank, which is what we will do. To make the process a much easier one, we will also get adjusters from Puerto Rico, Trinidad, Barbados, probably Antigua, who will fly in to come and do inspections along with all the other qualified people that are on island. We need to do that to speed the process up so that so we can all rebuild this country, and also to ensure that we have a safe place to sleep. It is interesting, and I think I need to say this too, because we have seen a tremendous amount of break-in and entry, probably referred to as looting, but it's not really looting. There are some businesses that were not destroyed or damaged by the hurricane, but such damages were man-made. That is not hurricane damage. That is break-in, entry, stealing. Those are not covered under the hurricane policies. And I'd like those persons outside there who are doing that to recognize that, because I have heard it so often, we can do it because they are insured. That is not true in every case. We are simply adding to the disaster caused by Hurricane Maria. Again, it is my responsibility, I think, to try and get the entire industry, the insurance industry, together, and I'm hoping that my fellow insurers who are listening and who will be told of this press conference will see it necessary for us to get together, and I will take the initiative to bring all the insurance companies together so that we can look at this seriously as a national disaster and catastrophe, and for us to recognize that it cannot be settling claims as we do in normal times. I am not sending out a notice for people who did not and intentionally did not pay premiums to come in and say, I forgot. But we will see this as a different approach as we saw in Hurricane David to deal with these matters. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for this opportunity. And again, as I would like to say, do not consider your insurance as the last thing that you put on your budget. It is in times like this you recognize that one of the line items on your budget should be insurance coverage. Most of us, the roof over our head is not 100% ours. We borrowed money. It is one thing to lose it. The other thing is to pay for what you have lost and then to rebuild. The insurance program and contract is the only thing that will cover you and will bring you back on your feet. Thank you again. At this time, we will not be collecting money. We will be called upon to keep that promise that we made to you, the public, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that should you suffer a loss, we'll put you back in the same or similar condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, just quickly, just to say to the country, in regards to the state's insurance, with the catastrophic risk insurance policy, we have received $19 million from the insurance. That $19 million have been deposited in our account at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. That was paid in late last week. The World Bank has committed with a combination of grants and loans, $64 million. I'm negotiating for them to take it to $100 million. They've asked me to come to Washington to further negotiate this package. I told them I will come if they can take it to $100 million. So we're trying to push them to take it to $100 million with a combination of grants and loans. I also want to say to the country, a number of governments are making commitments. As the days go by, we'll update you on the financial commitments that governments and institutions are making. Supplies will continue today, tomorrow, days after. We increasing our capacity with our ability now, having trucks and vans, and we're calling on anybody who has a truck, anybody who has a van, come to the EOC, register them so you can assist us in transporting those supplies to the rest of the country. We have additional helicopter help from the British. They're here for massive ship. They'll be helping us with additional helicopter deliveries, especially to the east, from Petit-Soufrière all the way down to Grand Bay, Tetman. So they'll cover these areas for us. So we're taking supplies by helicopter, by trucks, by vans, by fishing boats. We're pushing as much as possible to get supplies to the people. The students at the University of West Indies, I am sending a letter out to the Vice Chancellor of the University of West Indies to keep our students in and not take any actions on the students. We will make arrangements to keep our commitment to the University of West Indies. We're also informing the universities, especially in the United States, where we have large numbers of students, to indicate to them once the financial system is up, we will keep our commitment to our students so they can be at school. So I want all the students who are at universities, who have commitment letters from the government, do not let your heart be troubled. We will keep our commitments to you so you can continue your education. And our hope and prayer is that you'll come back to your country to help build a country once you have completed your studies. Again, I know that there is a misunderstanding with regards to personal packages. We do not have the customs and the ports functioning properly. We do not want to have 600-700 people at the port looking for the personal package at this time. The focus of the limited number of public servants and port people who are working is to facilitate the receipt and delivery of supplies to the entire country. Okay, we really want to manage this stuff. I believe from next week we can start receiving personal packages where they can be properly sorted out and your family and friends can get it. The last thing I want in this country is for anybody to accuse the customs and the port and anybody else in the government system of stealing their packages. We want to ensure that there are good governance practices in respect to the receipt and to the delivery of supplies to the people. My assurance to the people is that the supplies will be distributed in a transparent, accountable, equitable fashion. In these times you'll always have all sorts of rumors flying left, right, and center. Okay, so we want to ensure we have proper, transparent systems in place. Let us remain positive. We have work to do. It's not easy. It's challenging. When the entire country hit, the people who have to provide the services, we heard from our friends here who presented, the very people who are coming to work themselves got impacted. Mr. Brumant of NP, his niece got killed during the hurricane. He's still working. He's trying to help at NP. So we have to appreciate the emotional distress of everybody who's providing services to the country and to us in the country in terms of relief efforts. Nobody I know who has a role to play is sitting on his head or sitting on his hands. Everybody's out there working diligently, feverishly to reach our people, to improve on water connection, to improve on power, to improve on telecommunication services, because all of these things will help in the rebuilding process, lower the anxieties of our people, so that we can move to rebuilding this country. We will not leave any stone unturned to make it happen. So let us make it happen. We will not, unfortunately, take any questions now. Today, we have to leave. I have to speak to Beijing now, the People's Republic of China, a major development partner on their commitments to us in our relief and rebuilding efforts. So I really want to apologize to the media. Tomorrow, we'll have a comprehensive update from the Ministry of Health on what we're doing at the hospital, the various clinics across the country. So I really want to apologize. Yes. Yeah, the chairman of CARICOM will be coming in today. I'll give the opportunity for the press to speak with him. So maybe then you could ask a couple of questions. I really apologize to you. Always when they have to go back in the field, we all have to go back in the field to get things going for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, folks, again. All the best. Thank you. Thank you.
What's happening now? What's happening now? People are going towards there. When they find their clothes, the Dominica right there. They're not this car. Sorry about that.